This is a tutorial on how to do the first lab for the online class. The first lab is a dry lab, meaning that you're not going to have to collect any information yet. This is just showing you the like a variation of the data that you're going to be collecting. And so the premise is you're going to have three different artificial sweeteners, and you're going to make um, with you're going to put those in some cups. You're going to dissolve some water in there. You're going to have a neutral one where you just have water and with the uh, appropriate artificial sweetener. You'll have another of the same artificial sweetener with a little bit of vinegar, and you'll have another with the same artificial sweetener with baking soda. And so you'll have a neutral one, an acidic one, and a basic, also known as alkaline, for each of the three artificial sugars. You'll also have a fourth set that is just water. That's water, baking soda, and vinegar. That's your control that you're measuring everything against. And you're going to when you actually do the lab, not here for the first lab, but when you actually do the lab, you will be taking your TDS meter and your pH meter to measure over time those readings, and the more that those change, the less stable those artificial sweeteners are. And so here we're testing the stability of artificial sweeteners. And so that's the idea behind the lab when you actually do it. That is the idea behind this background here. That pretty much explains in more detail. Now, for this one, again, you're just going to use Excel. I want you to have this tutorial to know how to sort your data so you can answer questions about your data when you actually do the lab. So this is just you doing like very basic Excel things. You should have access to Excel. If you are having trouble with that, call the IT desk. That information should be online. It or the person, one of the ladies that helped you enroll in the class, and they will help you. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the directions here. This is going to be your manual. So you're going to have a manual that gives you directions. Okay. This is your background that tells you about your information. You'll have some pre-lab questions. If you're not sure about them, if you want to Google them, I don't care if you use AI, just like check your answers. Um, don't make it super obvious. Okay, at least paraphrase it if you're going to use AI. This sample data is just a reference. You don't need to do anything with it. I have found that some students like having that sample data there just to take a look at as they're doing the work in Excel. So you could ignore this page completely if you want to, right? So when I pull this up, it says sheet 1. In sheet 1, there is the sample data. This data will be used to see which sugar stays the most stable. Okay. So here you'll see your 4-sheet sample data, change in pH, TDS readings, acidic graphs. Okay. So let's go back to our manual. And it says on sheet 2, click on sheet 2, change in pH. All right, sheet 2, change in pH. If using the smallers chart on sheet 2, answer the questions below. Use on a PC computer, use the keys Control Shift S to take a screenshot of your change in pH from day 1 to day 3 and paste it below, right here. If you have a Mac computer, you have directions and a video, so you have directions and a video on how to take those screenshots if need be. All right, and when you put that small chart here, I used this data to make this chart. So really you're just analyzing information and sorting it. I'm not having you go through and do anything really complicated with Excel except for sort data and make a graph and tell me what the data is telling you. Okay. So you're going to take a screenshot of this. You are going to put it in here. Okay. And then you're going to answer these questions based upon the data. Again, this is just a screenshot and answering those questions. Which sample had the highest change in pH across the 3-day period? Which sample had the lowest change? And so I want you to answer these questions in those text boxes, okay? Please, 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 please turn in this particular manual. It's a lot easier for me to grade. It's a lot easier for me to give you feedback. I'm not one to take off points, but if you're gonna use something different and it's harder for me to grade, I'm gonna take off points. And if you get below an 80, you're gonna have to redo it because again, you have to get an 80 on everything in the class outside of the syllabus quiz in order to pass. Okay, please just fill this in and save it and send this to me as your answer. I do not need your Excel sheet. I need this student manual with your answers. What do I need? Just the student manual with the answers for the first lab. Okay. Sample, so part 2, TDS readings. So click on sheet 3. So we're going to go here, click on sheet 3. And what are our next directions? Follow the directions on the right of sheet 3. So let's pull this up. Here is the right of sheet 3. You're going to highlight the whole chart. Click on data in the ribbon above. So data. We're going to choose short. Let's say that you can't find it, or sort, rather, not short. Let's say you can't find it. You don't know where that is. You're going to type, you can type this in here and look for it. Okay? So here it is right here, sort. All right. In the drop-down box to the left, choose sort by TDS milligrams per liter. The whole thing. There we go. I didn't have those top two highlighted. Sort milligrams per liter. Use the sorted data to answer questions from lab 1. So we're going to go with OK. And we're going to go here to our manual. Overall, there will be some exceptions. Which pH condition has lower total dissolved solids? So you're either going to say, you're going to look at the total dissolved solids. Okay. All right. Because we've sorted them now from low to high. In general, which, whether it's neutral, acidic, or basic, which pH value results in a lower total dissolved solids reading. Lower total dissolved solids reading. Using the information in the background, I'm not going to read that to you. You guys know how to read. Briefly explain the trend you noticed in question 9. Now we're going to move on to sheet 4, comparing acidic sweeteners graph. Here we go. Back to our manual. Click on sheet 4, we just did. Copy and paste the, and follow the directions on the right. And then you're going to copy and paste the cluster bar graph in the box below. All right, so we're going to follow these directions. Here you see a new chart with only data from the acid samples. This is the chart that is only acid samples. Highlight the comparing acidic sweeteners chart. All right. Click Insert on the ribbon above. Choose the arrow at the bottom right corner of charts. Here's the arrow right here. Choose clustered bar graph. It's already on cluster bar graph, so we're going to choose that. Here we are, all beautiful and stuff. Click the plus option, which is right here beside the graph. So you're going to have axis titles. Drag the chart out where it's big enough to fit cup number along the left and pH along the bottom. So you might have to play with this a little, but you're going to replace this with cup number. You're going to replace this one with pH. Bold the axis title, so you'll just go up here after you're done doing that. You'll hit bold. Again, you need to change them. I'm not going to type it out for you. You guys know how to type. Copy and paste the clustered bar graph only in the label placing graph in lab 1. So, going back to lab 1, this is where your cluster bar graph gets pasted. This is the end of lab 1. It's literally that easy. For this lab, the goal is for you to get familiar with just using Excel. Okay, this shouldn't take you more than like maybe 30 minutes if you've ever worked with Excel before. If you haven't, it might take you a little longer, especially when you go into reading the background questions and analyzing it. But in terms of the part of using Excel, it is not difficult. It's pretty straightforward. This is your tutorial video for that. You will be doing some of these things also for lab 2. Okay. Now, if you have questions, please reach out to me.